So thanks for having me, guys. I love the opportunity to add value and kind of like share the knowledge all the time. And the reason I came up with this topic was that I figured that nobody really talks about it much, but I find it really useful to kind of like obviously market yourself in a way that kind of differentiate you a little bit further from competition. I'm not a believer in competition in business, but there are people that they offer the similar product and service as you do in the same industry. Okay, so I'm going to jump into it. I'm going to kind of explain why is it important and how you can come up with the methodology for yourself over the training. So how to convert more sales, exactly 63% by having a methodology. So I came up with this number not because one day I was thinking, okay, what number is going to be cool to put on the presentation? So I actually tracked the data. So in 2020, I didn't have any methodology for my agency, and I was just selling with just pitch decks and just listing what the prospects will get in exchange of the money. And I felt the prospects are getting a little bit confused, So I came up with a methodology. Credit to my mentors back in the days. They forced me to kind of come up with a methodology, and I started pitching that to the prospects. And then I put the data against each other. I realized, I'm actually converting 60-70% more than I was without the methodology. So my goal of this training is to kind of give you the formula. Okay, I'm not going to hold anything back, but first thing we have to understand why is it important, okay, and give you the exact process to craft one for yourself. Okay, so the workshop is going to be a little bit interactive, so I hope you can get a little bit out of it, so you can kind of go and play with your methodology after the workshop. A little bit about me in 2 minutes, because I have to kind of introduce myself. I'm Alireza, Rabbi, you can just call me Ali. I got into online sales and marketing just randomly, and my bread and butter has been paid ads, to kind of get someone from the cold market and convert them to a paying client. And if you've explored the paid advertising in the past, it's a bit of a journey. It's a bit hard to get someone that doesn't really trust you, doesn't know you, to kind of get the credit card out and pay you money. It's not an easy journey. So there are a lot of stuff, a lot of elements, a lot of assets goes into that journey to get that trust, to get that intimacy, get that connection with your prospect. So I tested a lot, and I figured out kind of that journey to a certain level. But I was an immigrant. I came here to Australia 8 years ago to kind of build a better life. I knew I have more in me, so I wanted to come here and grow. And that picture on the bottom is my actually first gig in sales and marketing. So I used to stay in parking lots in shopping center, just asking everybody, hey guys, have you got your free samples? And kind of wash their car a little bit to sell them the car products after that. So not surprisingly, I was broke. And I got into kind of marketing and sales because I wanted to save my ass, I wanted to kind of pay my bills. And it was random. But soon after, I realized that marketing is the biggest leverage in any business. With no marketing, there is no sales. With no sales, there is no delivery. Okay, so I started creating love and passion for it. And I knew I was a coach at heart. But I knew if I want to mentor somebody and coach these methodologies, these system and processes, I should test and do it myself. So I ended up building 2 marketing agencies. The first one was 2018 to 2020 with a partner. I sold my share and I started my own brand, OmniSocial, in 2020 to 2022, and I sold that one as well. And I tested a lot throughout the journey of 4 years to kind of come up with the things that works and kind of eliminate the things that they don't. So now that you know a little bit about me, you're in the safe hand in the next 40 minutes. Let's get into the training. So why methodology? Why is it even important? Why do you need to have one? I give you a few reasons, 5 reasons. And again, credit to my mentor, Scott Alford, that kind of, just helped me to kind of really, really understand why we need methodology. So when you want to sell something, you have 2 ways to approach it, right? People buy into you, which is your personality, or they buy into what you have, your system, process, methodology. If you want to sell somebody just based on what you have, okay, so your personality, it'll take time. Some of you here do organic marketing. Some of you probably have explored with paid advertising. And if You want to get someone's trust only with your personality. They come follow you, consumes your contents for a while. You have to text them to create that intimacy before they buy. But when you have both of them, you help them to understand what you have, how you help people, and get them one step closer to trusting you and become an actual client or customer. And the second thing, if you don't have a methodology, well, the only thing that you have is you and your personality. So if you're not in the business, growing is a little bit hard because you don't have any other assets to sell. And then you want to detach from the business, it's going to be a little bit problematic. When we about selling is an emotional journey. We know it. It's emotional. If you don't get the emotional buying out, there is no selling. You're going to get hit with objections at the end. But while it's an emotional journey, you need to put the intellectual mind in peace. And when someone sees that you have a process that's proven and battle tested, you put the intellectual mind in peace. Okay, so logically, they also justify it as well as emotionally. And business-wise, you build these methodologies as your IP, so the sellable assets, which ultimately add more value to your business that you're creating. The last reason is the most important one, which is market sophistication. Have you guys heard of the term market sophistication? Just raise your hand if you have. No? Cool. So market sophistication was a term that Eugene Schwartz came up with in his amazing book, Breakthrough Advertising. It pretty much describes a level of buyer's awareness in the marketplace. So what is happening now in the marketplace is everybody is coming with the same product, same service. And as a result of it, the buyers, your prospects, see the same thing over and over again. They see the same promise over and over again. So the market becomes saturated, or what I call, they get bored. So when they see the promise, they don't even pay attention to it. So the game has become who has the biggest promise, who can give me the biggest guarantee. And then you scroll on your social media, you see people just giving out so many crazy guarantees. So that's why, because the market sophistication is really hard. It's 5 levels, and most industries are around level 4 or level 5 these days. So what methodology does here, okay, is it helps you to differentiate yourself from all that promises out there, all the competitors out there. And the art here is to articulate and communicate it as clear as possible. Okay, you want to communicate it clearly on what you do to solve problems, your expertise, and pretty much what you do to help people. Okay, and that's why methodology is important. Cool. We know why it's important, right? But how can I make one? Before we go to the step-by-step formula and we're going to do it together, it might sound a little bit intimidating. Oh, methodology, unique mechanism. But I want you to know, you guys all have the methodology, okay, in your business. If you in this community, you're good at what you do, okay? And if you're good at what you do, you already know step-by-step process that you have to implement for your client to get a certain result at the end, to kind of help them to achieve their desire, their dream, or whatever they want to achieve, right? So the methodology, the process is already there. What we need to do is to extract and illustrate it, because we want to communicate it ultimately, right? So we need to extract it from your business, from here, illustrate it in a way that we can communicate it clearly, okay? So before we get in to kind of just coming up with the methodology together, I want you guys to come up with pen and paper. Okay, I give you 30 seconds, 1 minute to kind of prepare everything. I'm gonna have a sip of water, then we're gonna get into the formula together. If you have any question, guys, just feel free to kind of put it in the chat. At the end, we're gonna have Q&A. Should we do it? Yeah, let's do it. Cool. So the first thing we need to do, okay, in any marketing, right, we need to start with the hero. Okay, you're not the hero. The hero is your ideal client. So normally, before we come up with a methodology, we need to be relevant. When we're talking about relevancy, is obviously have a niche, have the right messaging and the right positioning, right? So on top of that paper, I want you to write down the niche you want to create this methodology for. Because if you don't know the niche, you build something that doesn't really resonate with your target market. So it's going to fail. So let's put that target market on top of your paper. And when you go through this exercise, always revert back to the pain, problem, desires, frustrations, dreams. We need to understand the niche psychologically. Anybody can say, oh yeah, I know I'm going to go after like, I don't know, business owners age 20 to 40. Everybody knows the demographical traits. You need to understand the psychological traits. That's the element that I always encourage my students to come up with. Cool. So we have the ideal client, right? Now, second thing. So an example for me is marketing agency owners, for example. I help coaches, consultants like with workshops, but my primary niche is agency owners. I help marketing agency owners and freelancers to grow past 50, 60K per month. Second thing, because you're good at what you do, okay? Outline your process from point A to point B. So see how and what you do to help them to go from the current situation to where they want to go. Give you an example before you start. I help them to scale past 50K per month by helping them with marketing, with sales, and like with this system to deliver it smoothly, right? So when I list out my process from point A to B, it was relevancy, niche, messaging, positioning, crafting the offer to make sure that they can sell over and over and they can hook people into the funnel, giving them like organic or advertising lead generation, giving them the system to nurture the leads, helping them with sales process to convert, helping them with onboarding, make sure we can optimize the delivery, helping them with hiring and team, and helping them to systemize their business. So that's my process. So I give you like 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes, take your time, kind of try to list out the process from point A to B for your ideal market. Any question, just put it in the chat. Even if you can't come up with the whole thing, because some of you might do like so much for clients, you can just come up with the portion of it. Or come up with like maybe 2 things for every stage of your process. So it doesn't have to kind of come up with a full list now. Just kind of giving you an idea of how to craft the methodology for yourself. 1 more minute. Cool. Let's move on. Now, you have the list of this process, right? From point A to point Z. What we want to do is to simplify it, okay? Because if you just give that list to your prospects, they're gonna bounce, okay? They're gonna get confused, and confused mind won't buy. So they're gonna bounce. You're gonna lose that opportunity to convert. So what we want to do is we want to simplify what you have by using like stages or groups. To give you an example, when I was doing this exercise for myself, I was like, okay, let me think about it. Like relevancy, offer, lead gen. Okay, I'm doing this for them because I want to help them attract the right client in with right volume, with right quality, right? And I'm helping them with nurturing, sales process, and onboarding because I want to help them to convert more deals. Because without conversion, there is no connection between marketing or delivery. And at the end, I want to help them to retain those clients by having a right product, right delivery, good team, mighty team to help them deliver top-notch result, and by kind of giving them freedom through like systemizing their business. So I came up with attraction, conversion, and retention. So 3 groups for 9 kind of like steps in my process. So have 1 minute, think about like what you can come up with in your process. Whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. Just come up with something that kind of like, makes sense. Fifteen seconds. All right, let's go to the next one. So now we have the process, we know the ideal client, we have the sub kind of categories, groups in place to make a sense out of our methodology, right? This is your first draft, okay? So the best thing is you have this list and these groups. You want to potentially take it to existing clients, okay? Or someone that kind of understand your business. Definitely not your family or your friends, okay? You want someone that understand your business, like in the business with you, or someone who's a client. And you want to give them this first graph, explain what you're doing, and get feedback to make sure it makes sense, okay? And when it makes sense, you kind of put the methodology on its first feedback loop. So you get the feedback. You can go and optimize it, make it a little bit better before you name it, okay? So we have the process now, final draft ready. We have to name it. We have to name it in a way that can hook your target market, your ideal prospect into the methodology. So there are 2 ways you can approach it. There are different ways, but I recommend you to stick with these 2 to make it like simple. So I have like, out of like all the IPs and methodologies I have like agency growth engine, okay? So I went through this list. I was like, okay, so we have 3, okay, 3 things. Let's make it a little bit more interesting. 3 pillars: attraction pillar, conversion pillar, and retention pillar. But wait, the personality of my target market is a little bit technical, a little bit logical. So let's make it engine. So attraction engine, conversion engine, retention engine. So I give my market these engines to help him grow. So when I go and name it, I put the niche name in it so I can hook him in. So agency growth engine. That's the name of that methodology. Or I have like an advertising methodology that is kind of a triangle of different steps to take you from like, have nothing in place to help you to scale. And I use CPR method, which I use the initials of clear path to revenue. So you want to either use the niche-based kind of naming convention or just use the initial and put like mechanism or methods at the end, okay? Keep it really simple. You can come up with different names, can be more creative. Most of the students I deal with, they want some sort of system to come up with the name, because being creative is a little bit hard. And it's about coming up with a methodology. So you can kind of use these two ways to name it. Okay. If you have an idea now for the name, just put it on the paper. If not, that's cool. You can come up with the name later. Okay. So now that we have the name, we have the process, we have the subgroups and everything in place, okay, we successfully extracted your methodology. Now we have to communicate it. And the best way to communicate your methodology is by illustration. Because we are visual creatures, okay, psychologically. And if you can show somebody what you have, they absorb the information better. And I always, if I want to train somebody on sales, I just say, you get what you show. Okay, so you get what you show. If you don't have anything to show, you're not going to get anything. So that's why illustration is important. And there are different ways you can approach illustration. But because to just give you an example, this is how my methodology looks like. Okay, so credit to Simon Bauer for coming up with genius model. So this is genius model. So I have like 9 different kind of like components in 3 different pillars. The combination of pillars is going to give my prospect cash flow, leverage to scale and freedom, and eventually they're going to get the impact that they want, whatever it may be for them. Now, if it's a little bit, it's too much for what you have in place, you can just use a simplest, type of like illustration, which is kind of like a triangle with different phases in it, which I'm about to show you. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. I actually feel if it's complicated, you're going to lose the prospect. So you want to keep it as simple as possible. All right. If I want to sell somebody on the sales calls, I don't even go through those components around the circles unless if they want it. Okay. So make sure it's as simple as possible so we don't kind of confuse anybody. And when you illustrate it, okay, then you can publish it. Okay. If you guys have any ideas on the shape and form that it looks like, just put it on the paper that you have. After the call, go start playing with it. Okay. Put the components in, see how you can make a sense out of it before you go through the publication. Okay. Yeah, triangle is the best. I close a lot of deals with triangle. Okay, and I'll show you how it looks like. Now, we have everything. Extraction done, illustration done, the methodology is ready. Now, the main part comes to the game, which is publishing it. Okay, there are different ways you can publish it. You can publish it organically. You can publish it with paid marketing. You can publish it to your existing audience. You can publish it like, in different way of form of marketing strategy. I'm using mainly like paid ads and organic. So both of them. I've been testing it 2 ways. One of the ways that I started approaching my methodology is by coming up with lead magnets. So I'm building all the marketing around my methodology. Why? Because first, it differentiates me. One of the ways that I can be completely different from other competitors is my methodology. And that means that no one can have a say on what I do anymore. Okay? If I'm giving somebody an advice, okay, a marketer an advice, say, hey man, you have to approach it this way. If another guru comes and say, no, you're doing it wrong, say, excuse me, is it your methodology or is it mine? Because if you have a methodology, then go create it for yourself, help people with your methodology, but this is mine. Okay, so you differentiate yourself by coming up with your lead magnets in different ways and forms. Okay, so like the left one is my guide, the right one is another methodology, fast client formula, which is kind of video training. Okay, so you can kind of like create those for yourself, publish it to your audience organically, get feedback before you go with paid ads to build your email list. Okay, really powerful. I'm getting leads for $1 with my guide on the left. $1. Okay, so this thing works if you get it right. I have a Facebook group around it. So again, the whole marketing is around it. I get people to opt into my lead magnets. I get them to go and kind of become a group member so I can nurture them more around the same methodology to kind of help them. So the whole marketing is around it. They have their own unique landing pages for people to get more information. Okay. The group has its own landing page, the opt-in page, everything is designed around the methodology. And the most important thing is to start testing it, okay, into your sales call. I'm a bit weird. I started testing it with sales call first. I get rejected, and then I went to optimize it. But the sales call is the best, okay? Because then you really understand if it makes sense or not. Because people are brutal, okay? If somebody doesn't understand what you're saying, they're not going to buy from you. They're going to come up with some, just some bullshit like objection at the end. I have to think about it, or, there are a lot of information. I have to go and I sleep on it and stuff like that, right? So if your methodology hits the mark, it's clear, okay? They understand it well. And I had like a lot of prospects on my sales call that I could get and put their intellectual mind in peace by showing them what I have. And they converted right in the call with no objections. If your sales calls are ending up with objection all the time, there is something wrong, okay? You shouldn't get objection all the time. And this kind of methodology, this is my pitch, okay? Helps me a lot to kind of get that kind of trust, the connection out of my prospect. So the left one and the right ones are different. The right one is what I used to sell in my kind of agency to kind of sell a done for you service, which goes, hey man, like this is our process for advertising. We start with clarification at the bottom of the triangle. Then we go for validation. Then we go for systemization. And now that we have everything, we're going to scale together. So when you put $1 in, you're going to pick up $10 back. Okay, so when I went through this like steps one by one, I always reverted back to what they want, what they dream about, the pain that they're running away from, so they can kind of connect with the methodology. And the left one is what I'm doing now on my sales calls with marketers. I run them through the methodology and I highlight what they have and what they don't. And at the end, I ask them, hey man, like this is the state, the well-being of your agency, of your marketing business. How do you feel about it? And they look at this, they go, oh my God, it's just red and yellow. I need help. Like I need you to help me. That's why I'm on this call. So having the methodology helps a lot. And you gotta look at sales as a service. It's an act of service because you're helping somebody to make the right decision for themselves, for their business, and for their family. Okay, so coming up with these assets, we help them to get one step closer to making that right decision working with you. Okay, so another way to approach it, I illustrated on my iPad, okay, on my sales calls. It's not that expensive and you get the return right away. Imagine if you can convert 63% more of what you do. And the big part, after you have everything, after you publish it, it's test, rinse and repeat, and evolve. That's why I'm emphasizing so much. Please don't get it right from the beginning. Please don't spend like weeks and weeks coming up with this methodology. You can come up with the methodology in like a matter of a couple of days. You have the draft, go publish it, put it in test, and you're going to evolve it over the time. Like I'm evolving, I'm optimizing my lead magnet now because I'm learning more about my target markets as I teach them, as I mentor them. So, business is kind of the ongoing battle, ongoing work to kind of optimize things, making them better so you can help people more and more effectively. So that's pretty much the ending of the formula and why the methodology is important. Hopefully you guys get a lot out of it. And thank you for sticking with me. I think it's been almost 40 minutes, like 30, 40 minutes. We're going to have a group photo and then Q&A.